Good morning, Year 13, and happy Monday. I hope you all had a really nice weekend. I'm going to give you a few quick notices before handing over to Mr. Jeffries. The main purpose of this assembly is to give you the information you need to be fully prepared for your mock examinations, which take place in January. So obviously, Mr. Jeffries is the right person to do that. But a couple of quick notices from me. Firstly, those who celebrated Diwali over the weekend, I hope you had a really, really lovely time. And those of you who didn't celebrate Diwali, make sure that you have conversations with those who did so that you can be fully educated about that festival and what it means for those who celebrate it. This week is Interfaith Week. I know Miss Madden and the RS department have got some competitions and things like that going on, and I know some of the student leaders have contributed to that, so just be aware of that. Period 6 tonight is being taken by Jack Crouch. He's an alumnus of the school. He was at the sixth form maybe 5 years ago. He works for Cadent. Cadent is a firm that work at looking at energy and carbon and how that is used, and they offer a wide range of apprenticeships, graduate apprenticeships and degree apprenticeships, and jobs for people who have just graduated. So if you are interested in either a career in that sort of field, energy, engineering, that sort of thing, or you are interested in an apprenticeship, I strongly recommend you attend that talk, because even though the Cadent specific details won't be relevant to you, the general stuff about the journey Jack's been on will be very relevant. Also, if you're interested in getting work experience in this sort of place, this is absolutely the sort of you should go to network with Jack and get that relationship, enabling you to ask him for work experience later on. On the 28th of November, we have Ask Apprenticeships coming in. They will do an assembly for the whole sixth form, year 12 and 13, and then during periods 2 and 3, they'll be available for people to come and have meetings and conversations with them. This is aimed at anyone who wants to apply for an apprenticeship but isn't yet sorted in terms of a covering letter, doesn't quite know what to do. If that is you, then your mentor will be asking you in the next few days, it'll be on the notice sheet, to let you know their names so they can let me know, because we do have to have an idea of numbers. So if that's for you, then please make sure that you speak to your mentor about taking advantage of that opportunity. Before we go further, just to let you know, this assembly is being recorded. That means that anybody who has questions about the mock exams can refer to it, because Mr. Jeffries is going to give you all the important information. And before we go any further, I'm going to hand straight over to Mr. Jeffries for the rest of the assembly. You can come and sit in this chair if you want. And what they see is here.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you to Miss Green, thank you to Mentors for allowing me a bit of time this morning. In the past, in year 11, we would have done this face-to-face, but a remote assembly has the advantage of being recorded for you. So we're going to be talking this morning about the arrangements for your mock exams in January. Just to clarify, these are exams for students doing A-level subjects. If you do BTEC Applied Science, you've got real exams later in January, so this doesn't apply to you. Also, your art exams, if you do photography, graphics or fine art, those exams will take place a little bit later on in January, and Mr. Radford will give you more information about that. Okay, so just to repeat as well what Ms. Green said, if you do have any questions, if anything you hear makes no sense or you need queries sorting out, if you do come and see us in the exams office, either Mrs. Williams, my colleague, or myself will do our best to answer any queries. So year 13 mock exams, they are fairly imminent. It might seem like they're a long way off, but we've got 8 weeks before those exams start in January. So they are exciting, maybe not this exciting, but they are exams that you will be hopefully looking forward to showing how much you've learned in the last 18 months and showing your teaching staff what you're capable of doing under exam conditions. So this is just a reminder, by the time you leave, we finish the assembly, hopefully you will know why we're doing the mock exams, when they're taking place, and where they'll be. So just to repeat the messages, these are not new messages, but they're things that might be worth repeating now. One of the main purposes of the mock exams is to give you a chance to take exams in the same sort of conditions that you will have next summer. So what you'll be sitting are actual past papers, probably from last summer's exam series. They'll be, for that week, they'll be in the formal venues. The length of those exams will be probably longer than certainly that you got used to for GCSE. And some exams are up to 3 hours. So this is important for you to get used to performing under that kind of pressure. We'll be using the external invigilation team and applying the normal exam regulations that we would have in the summer. Another important reason for running the mock exams in January is that they help your teaching staff to make some decisions on estimated grades. Obviously, the mock exams are not the only thing they use, but they do form one of the foundations on which teachers will be making estimated grades. And as I'm sure you're all aware, these do have implications for the UCAS applications you're making. Okay, they also, the results of the mock exams, when they've been marked, they will give your teaching staff an idea sometimes where their teaching needs to be targeted. If, for example, a whole group are giving answers which suggest that the teaching needs tweaking, that's something useful that the mock exams can provide. And finally, if you miss exams for any reason, mainly ill health in the summer, exam boards may ask us for evidence of work done in exam conditions to decide on an estimated grade in the event that you do miss exams. Hopefully, there isn't any likelihood of the exams being cancelled again, as they were in 2020 and 2021. But the exam evidence and the mock exams can be used by exam boards. Okay, so the exams take place, the mock exams in January will be taking place from the first day back in January, that's Wednesday the 10th, and they'll be running through to the following Wednesday on 17th. They will be in the new exam venue in E Block, for that's our main venue. If you have any access arrangements, and by that we mean if you've got or used to having alternative rooming arrangements, if you've got a reader, or if you need to use a laptop, or you just need a smaller venue because the bigger ones are intimidating for you, the place we're going to do those exams is T Block study, and that will be for any students who've got access arrangements. They probably, if you did your year 12 exams, you will recognise the arrangements as being the same as they were in the summer. There are 1 or 2 exams that are in other places, and they will be indicated on the timetables, the rooming timetable that you get. For example, the modern foreign language listening exams need to take place in rooms that have IT facilities. So there are 1 or 2 exams not in the E Block or the T Block study, but they will be indicated on the rooming timetable. So you've got 8 weeks before those exams start, and in that time you need to check with your subject teachers what topics they're going to expect you to know about for those exams in that week. You need obviously to come up with a revision plan to take you through to that period and to follow it. And one of the purposes of this assembly is just to give you a heads up that the timetables for the January exams will be available. You may have had yours on Friday, or they may be given out this morning. But by the end of this week, you should have 2 timetables and an information letter for you and your parents. So the exam timetables you'll get, this is the same arrangement as we'll have for the summer, one that you're probably quite familiar with now. So you'll have a individual timetable like the one on the left, and you'll have a rooming timetable like the one on the right, which has got all the exams indicated. Just to mention that you will probably in many of your subjects have other mock exams that are taking place as in-class assessments, but these are the exams that we've planned for the formal venues. Okay, so when you've got those timetables, you need to check that we've got the details right, particularly the personal details at the top of the individual timetable. That's important because these are the details that you'll be entered for when we do the entries in January, and we want to make sure that we've got all those details right, like date of birth, your official name that will appear on your certificates when you get them. It's also important you check that we've got your entries right, so that we've entered you for the subjects that you are doing. Don't take too much notice of the exam codes, because they're ones that we have to invent in order to produce the timetable. So the codes aren't important, but it is important that you are checking that we haven't missed any subjects out or entered you for subjects that you no longer do. Okay, another thing that you'll need to do, this is particularly important for the summer exams, you need to check to see whether you've got any clashes. In other words, times in the timetable where there's more than one subject taking place on that day and that session. We've tried to make sure there aren't any clashes for the mock exams because we've got the flexibility to do that. But if you do spot any clashes or any other anomalies that need sorting out, then if you come and see us in the exam office, we'll try and get those sorted out for you. So during the exam week in January, there are obviously some general points that we try to emphasize at this point. If you've got a revision plan, then try and stick to it. If you're spending a lot of time on social media, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, they gobble up time and take you away from focusing on what you need to be doing. So try and stay off social media. Another obvious thing that you need is plenty of sleep, not during the exams, obviously, but you need to come properly prepared. And if you are short of sleep, that will impact on your performance. Try to arrive at least 10 minutes before the exams start, because if you turn up just before the exam starts, it is quite stressful sometimes trying to get in and find your place and get yourself settled. So try to get there in good time. The seating plans for the exams in E block will be posted in T block in the sixth form here about 2 weeks before the end of this term, and it would be in your interest to have a look at the seating plans, partly for your own peace of mind and partly to identify any mistakes we may have made in the seating, so that we can sort those out before the exams start. And just another reminder that you do need to be familiar with the exam board rules, and we'll make sure you've got a paper copy of those before the end of this term. The key ones are obviously no communication allowed during the exams. Try to come properly equipped. You need a minimum you'll need is a black pen, but for subjects like computer science, maths, physics, and there are subjects where you'll need calculators as well, so try to come equipped. We have got spare equipment, but not always enough to cope with the number of students who need them, and we'd much prefer you to be using the equipment that you're familiar with, not ones that you're having to borrow. Just a reminder, if you come into the exam venue with a mobile phone, it must be turned off and handed in, and that is the same regulation for watches and AirPods. Earphones must also be given in at the beginning of the exam. and you'll get those back at the end. Water you can bring in, but it must be in a clear unlabeled bottle. Study leave will last from the Wednesday when the exams begin until the Wednesday when they end. So normal lessons will resume on the Thursday of the second week. The exam venues we're using, there hasn't been a problem with heating, but remember it is January and it is possible that the rooms may not be heated for the morning exams before you get in, so use some common sense. Food and drink, as we mentioned, you can take water in clear bottles, but no food's allowed unless you need it for medical reasons. For example, if you're diabetic and you need something to boost your blood sugars. So when the exam is finished, the results you will get from your subject teachers just bear with having slight technical malfunction. So when the exams are finished, you'll get your results from your subject teachers. If there have been any issues during the exams, there will be a short catch-up session. And if you've got exams, if you do any of the art options, you'll have your exams towards the end of January, and Mr. Radford will check on those with you. If you've got worries about the exams, then Mrs. Williams and myself are always available to answer queries if you've got them. Obviously your teachers are there to support you with help with your revision. You've got staff in the sixth form who are more than willing to support you with any anxieties you may have. So before we finish, I'll just wish you all the best for your mock exams. If you've got friends who aren't there in mentor time this morning, who you think might benefit from the information you've heard this morning, then come and see us in the exams office. If you lose your timetable between now and January, we can print another one for you if you need it. And once again, thank you for your patience. Thank you to the mentors for allowing me this time. I'm just going to hand back to Miss Green now, who will have some final words for you. Thanks very much.
Hi everybody, I hope that was really helpful and you now have a much better understanding of what's going to be happening in January for your mock examinations. What we're going to do now, before we finish the assembly, is I'm going to turn my camera and mic off for about 2 or 3 minutes. Mentors, can you just have a quick chat in your mentor groups? If anyone has got any questions while we've got Mr. Jeffries here that we could just knock on the head, then type them in the chat, and in 2 or 3 minutes we'll come back on screen and have the opportunity to actually answer those questions. So quick chat in your mentor groups. Does anyone have any questions, any concerns, anything that we've not addressed? And type those in the chat, please. Okay, 2 or 3 minutes, off you go. Okay, thank you, Mr. Walker. We've got 2 questions from Mr. Walker's group. Keep the questions coming if there's anything else. So in terms of the first question, will there be a mock for the step paper? So there isn't a formal mock for the step paper, but I do actually think it's quite a good idea. If you're planning to sit the step paper, come and see me, and then I'll speak to the maths department and see if they can put something on, because it's a very challenging paper and it's a very different type of exam, so it would be worth practicing it. If you are a consortium student, so if you're a consortium student whose home school is another school and you attend Finham Park for one subject, you will be doing your mock exam for that subject at Finham. Mr. Jeffries has also already contacted your exams officer at your home school with your timetable, so you can get that from them. If you're a Finham student who sits a subject at a different school, you will be sitting your mock examination there, and either the exams officer or your subject teacher at that school should be in a position to talk to you about this. If there are any other questions, just type them in the chat quickly before we finish. Okay, so last couple of bits from me. A reminder that the final UCAS deadline is the end of November. That is a firm deadline for the school. If you submit your UCAS application after that point, we will submit it, but we're not going to check it. That's just because with 200 of you in the year group, 200 and a bit actually, we don't have the capacity to check them all if they're all handed in late. So please make sure that you are prepared to meet this deadline. If you are ready to go, as I said in my assembly last week, pay and send first and then come to one of the drop-in sessions. The next one is tonight after school and we'll get it submitted for you. But please make sure you've spoken to your mentor first about references. And finally, a week on Thursday is the sixth form open evening. If you are coming to help but you don't have a specific department, it would be lovely to have lots of people coming to help who aren't with a specific department. If you just want to come, show people around, meet and greet, something like that. Again, pop and see me so that I've got your name, just so we've got a list of people coming. If you came and you did translation for main school open evening, it would be lovely if you could come and wear your lovely yellow shirt again and be there for sixth form open evening. There are no more mock exam related questions in the chat, so I'm going to end there, but you know where I am or Mr. Jeffries are if you have any more questions, and I've recorded this, so if you've missed any part of it, speak to your mentor and you should be able to watch it again. Okay, thank you. Have a lovely day.